Welcome back to Just Thinking. I'm doing what I've learned to do best. I haven't always known how to do this, but to just think. And today, me and my son, we went to the barbershop. We spent all day together. He did school from home. And I was just thinking about parenting, right? Especially within the African American culture. I can't really speak on other cultures. But our culture, when we talk about parenting, a lot of us don't grow up in two-parent homes. And so there are some things that we may need to be exposed to that we probably aren't. And then there's some of us that were males but raised by women, and then some of us that were female and raised by male. All different types of dynamic. You may have been raised by, your grandmother or, auntie or whatever it may be. There's a certain structure that was put in place. And we all know what that is. We have the mother, we have the father, and then we have the children. And then the son, he sees the example of what a man should be from his father. And then the daughter sees an example of what a woman should be from her mother. And then the father shows the male how to treat a woman by the way that he treats his wife. And then the daughter is going to see how a woman should treat her husband from her mother. And then you're able to see the whole dynamics of love and care and discipline and, all of these different things. But because our structure has been broken, there's a lot of things that we miss. And we all know, and I can speak for my mother, she did the best that she could, raising a young man. So, with that being said, I was just thinking, I'm like, man, we don't have many examples. So how do we go about doing what we do when it comes to raising our children? And a lot of times that's how you get these generational curses, if you want to call them curses, or generational things that we hold on to that may or may not be, may or may not be correct. And so when I think of raising your children, I think one thing to always think about is you should raise your children, or you should attempt to raise your children better than you were raised. Now, for a lot of us, it's hard because how we were raised is all we know. But a child is precious. Being a parent is a gift. And so, therefore, I recommend if you know better, you do better. So that means that we'll go and we'll put in some work. We'll do some research. We'll figure out how to gain wisdom in this area. Now, there's 3 ways to gain wisdom. You can gain wisdom by example. Some people say by experience. Some people say that that's a fool's way. Or you can gain wisdom by example, looking at someone else, what they've done, right? Or you can be taught. You can gain it through knowledge. And so a lot of us just do it by trial and error, or we do it by example. We skip over the knowledge part, and that's the part where you need to be intentional about learning, different things. And one thing that I think about, like I said, your goal should be to raise your children better than you were. Now, that's not saying that you weren't raised correctly or that you weren't raised, to the best of your parents' ability. But if it can be better, then why don't we make it better? And then down the line, if we teach our children that, then it'll just get better and better and better and better. And then down the line of our generations, we can perfect this thing. So one thing that I was thinking about, there was 2 things. One thing I was thinking about was shortcut parenting. Now, shortcut parenting is where we don't have time. You know, we've already had it up to here. You may be a single parent. You may have to work. You may have to be the one to take the kids to football practice. You may have to be the one to go sit in the kids' classroom when they get in trouble. You have to be the one to pay all the bills, to make sure the house is ran properly. So therefore, you've already had it up to here. So when there's a discipline issue, your first instinct may be to yell, right? Or, discipline. But it's called shortcut parenting because there is no balance in that, because that means that child is only receiving that. And then if they're only receiving that, how are they learning why they made that mistake, or why they did this, or why you are upset in the first place? So if you would take the time, and that's the problem, when we're doing it by ourselves, we don't have time. But if you want to be effective in this, you have to take the time out. So we don't want to do shortcut parenting. We want to be thorough. We want to, I know back in the day, it was like, boy, don't ask me why. Now they need to understand why. So that way they can learn from their mistakes. They can learn why you want to discipline them, either with the rod or with punishment or with whatever it may be. You need to explain the why behind that. That way they have a less chance of making that same mistake again, because we can constantly put them on punishment. We can constantly put hands on them, but all that's teaching them is how to receive punishment, how to deal with punishment. It's not teaching them the why behind it. And when especially a boy, when a boy is constantly being punished and things are being taken away, and they constantly have hands put on them, you're teaching them violence, and then you're teaching them to learn how to be without, to where things no longer matter to them. And then when they end up finding themselves into trouble, prison is nothing to them, because they've already been without. They've already been on punishment. They've already been isolated. Therefore, we are making the mistake of feeling like, oh, I'm going to do this so he'll learn. But he's learning the wrong thing, because we failed to put the why behind that. Okay. So that's the shortcut parenting. There's much more to that. I could talk about that forever. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about, and I just talked myself into forgetting. I wanted to talk about shortcut parenting, and then, man, how to look at this, man. Just thinking too much. You got to find balance in everything that you do. Well, I guess I'll just leave it at that, man. I'll have to do a part 2 on that, and then we can go into what I was thinking about, because there were some few points that I wanted to make, but I didn't want to make the video so long, because I know a lot of people don't even make it within 1 minute, but it is for whoever it's supposed to be for, but I'll do a part 2. And I'll have my thoughts together. I guess my just thinking is only limited to just thinking for the moment. But yeah, man, we don't want to be shortcut parents. We want to be able to explain the why behind what we do and why we do it. And then we also want to make sure that we have balance in our discipline. There's a such thing as balance in your discipline. There has to be balance in everything that you do. But if you, like I said, if you continue to punish, take away, yell, hit, then you're going to create a monster. So you want to have that balance. Thank you guys for listening. I'll do a part 2. God bless you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification button so you'll know when videos are uploaded, and share. Please do. God bless.